I did not wake up thinking the world was going to end. I woke up thinking about lighting, liquor, and whether the DJ would actually show up on time. That is where my head was. Not hospitals, not emergencies, just how to make sure my 21st birthday looked expensive enough that nobody would ever call me average again. My parents had left 2 days earlier for Europe. My mom hugged me at the airport like I was still 15 and told me not to do anything reckless. My dad gave me that look that says he trusts me but does not really. They both knew I had asked to throw a party. They just did not understand what I meant by party. They were picturing 30 people and soft music. I was picturing something people would talk about all year. I lay there for a minute staring at the ceiling of my room. The house was quiet in that rich people way where even the silence feels expensive. The air conditioning hum was steady. Sunlight came in through those giant windows my mom insisted on when we remodeled. Everything felt calm, controlled, safe. Then my phone started blowing up. Group chats, direct messages, people confirming, people asking if they could bring friends. A couple girls sending outfit pics asking which one was birthday approved. I sat up smiling. This was the energy I wanted. This was the part where it starts building. I walked downstairs barefoot and the house echoed because nobody else was home. The marble floor felt cold. I opened the fridge and it was packed because my mom had stocked it like she was preparing for a snowstorm. Bottled water lined up in perfect rows. Fresh fruit nobody would touch. Fancy cheeses nobody would eat. I moved half of it to make space for what was actually coming later. I made coffee and stood at the kitchen island scrolling the news out of habit. There were headlines about some kind of incident in the city. Something about aggressive patients in a hospital. I did not click it. Stuff like that pops up all the time. Fights, drugs, protests. It never touches our neighborhood. Our house sits in a gated community about 40 minutes outside the city. Big lots, long driveways, trees everywhere, cameras at the gate and another set on our property. My dad likes layers. He likes saying, "Nothing happens here unless we allow it." I believe that too. By 9 in the morning, I was in my car heading to the wholesale store with music blasting. I had a list on my phone, but I barely looked at it. I grabbed everything that felt excessive. Cases of water, bags of ice, extra soda. More alcohol even though we already had enough locked in the cabinet. I wanted it to look like abundance, like nothing could run out. Inside the store, people were normal. Families shopping, workers stacking shelves. A television near the electronics section was tuned to a news channel. I caught a glimpse of flashing lights on the screen and a reporter talking fast, but the volume was low and nobody around me seemed concerned. If people were worried, I would have felt it. That is what I told myself. I paid, loaded everything into the back of my SUV, and texted Marco to get over to the house early to help set up. He replied with a single word, "Finally." He had been waiting for this almost as much as I had. When I got home, I opened the gate through the app and drove up the long driveway feeling like a king returning to his castle. The house looked perfect in the sunlight. Clean lines, big glass panels, the pool covered and still. For a second I imagined the place packed with people and I felt that rush in my chest again. Marco showed up around noon with sunglasses on, and that grin he gets when he knows we are about to do something stupid. We started hauling coolers to the backyard, dragging tables into better positions, stringing lights across the patio. We moved like we had all the time in the world. By mid-afternoon, more friends showed up to help, which mostly meant they started drinking early. Music was already playing. Someone tested the speakers, and the bass shook the patio furniture. We laughed too loud. Everything felt light. We were young. Nothing bad ever sticks to you when you are young. That is what you think. The catering arrived at 4. Trays of sliders and wings and stuff that looked fancy but was really just fried and salty. The bartender came shortly after. He was older than us, calm, organized. Watching him set up his bottles in neat rows made the whole thing feel legitimate, like this was an event, not a mess. Guests started arriving before sunset. Cars lining the driveway, girls stepping out in heels that sank slightly into the gravel, guys slapping my back and yelling my name. The house filled fast, the backyard filled faster. When the sun went down and the lights came on, the place transformed. The pool glowed blue. The string lights gave everything that warm, expensive look people love on social media. Music pounded. People were dancing on the patio, in the kitchen, by the stairs. Someone jumped in the pool fully dressed and everyone cheered. I moved through it all, smiling, shaking hands, hugging people, feeling bigger than I actually was. This was what I wanted. Respect, attention. That look people give you when they realize you have access to something they do not. Around 9, someone mentioned there were roadblocks closer to the city. Another person said they heard about fights breaking out near a gas station. It sounded like gossip. Half the crowd did not even hear it over the music. I did not ask follow-up questions. I did not want to introduce doubt into a perfect night. A little before 11, my gate camera pinged on my phone. 2 cars waiting outside. I did not recognize them. I was about to ignore it when Darius ran up, excited, telling me he had brought some people who got turned around by police activity downtown. I should have said no. That thought hits me now. But in that moment I was thinking about numbers. More people meant bigger party. Bigger party meant bigger story tomorrow. I opened the gate from my phone without even walking to check. The cars rolled up the driveway slow. The people who stepped out did not look dressed for a party. They looked tense. One of the girls had something dark on her sleeve. I asked if she was okay, and she brushed it off, saying it was from a fight near a gas station. I let them in. They disappeared into the crowd within seconds. Music swallowed everything. If something was wrong, it did not show immediately. That is how it starts. Quiet, subtle. You get a warning, and you ignore it because the night is too good to interrupt. Time slides after that in the way it always does at a party where nobody is pacing themselves. The kitchen turns into a loud, sweaty traffic jam of people refilling cups, grabbing food, stealing chargers, talking too close, laughing too hard. The backyard turns into its own little world under the string lights, with the pool glowing and the bass coming through the patio speakers so strong it makes the furniture vibrate. I keep moving because that is what a host does when he wants to feel in control. I am checking coolers, pointing people toward the bathroom downstairs so nobody trashes the upstairs one, telling a couple guys to stop smoking right under the camera, telling a girl to please not jump off the balcony because the drop is higher than she thinks. Half of it is me playing the role I built in my head all week. The other half is me trying to keep my parents' house from turning into a wrecking yard. Every few minutes, someone grabs me for a photo, pulls me into a video, or shouts my name over the music like my name is a chant. I love it. I hate that I love it. It feels addictive, the way it always does when attention lands on you, and you are not used to it being this concentrated. Marco keeps popping up near me, not babysitting exactly, but staying close enough that if something goes sideways, he is there. He has that friend look on his face, the one that says he is having fun, but he is also keeping track. Marco does not drink as hard as everyone else. He likes to act reckless, but he is not stupid. He points out small problems before they become big ones. At some point, I notice one of the strangers from the gate leaning in the hallway by the powder room. The guy is tall, maybe mid-20s, hair damp like he ran or sweated through it, and he is holding his jaw like his teeth hurt. A couple people try to talk to him, and he barely reacts. He just keeps staring at the floor, blinking hard. He looks sick, not drunk. The vibe around him feels wrong in a way I cannot explain, but I also cannot focus on that for more than a second because someone bumps me and sloshes a drink down my wrist and another group is yelling for me to come outside. Outside, the noise is bigger. There is a circle of people on the lawn dancing with phones up, and the pool is full of bodies now, half of them still dressed. Somebody has dragged a patio chair close to the deep end and is standing on it, trying to hype everyone up. The bartender is still working, calm and professional, but he keeps glancing toward the street side of the property, toward the trees and the fence line, and I cannot tell if he is just scanning or if he actually heard something. I go back inside for a minute because I want a breather. The air inside is warmer and thicker. The hallway smells like perfume and spilled beer and food that has been sitting out too long. I step into the living room and see two people making out on my parents' couch, shoes on, and I almost say something. Then I decide I do not care. Not right now. Somewhere in the house, glass breaks and the crowd cheers. That sound would normally irritate me, but tonight I take it as proof everything is alive and loud and moving. I am still thinking in party logic. I am still thinking the worst thing that can happen is a fight or someone puking on a rug. A little later, around the time the night starts feeling fully unhinged, I get pulled into a stupid argument in the kitchen. Two guys are in each other's faces over a phone that went missing. One of them is red-faced and sweaty, shaking his cup around, slurring about disrespect. The other one keeps insisting he did not take anything, hands up, trying to laugh it off. People gather in a half circle to watch because drunk people always turn into spectators. I step between them and push both of them back with my hands. I do not try to be polite. I do not have time for politeness. I tell the first guy to relax, tell the second guy to go check upstairs, tell both of them if they want to fight they can fight outside the gate and see how far that gets them. They both glare, but the crowd pressure does what it always does. They back off. That is what I think the night is. That is what my brain keeps labeling everything as. Drunk drama, drunk mistakes, drunk noise. Then I hear a different kind of sound from the back hallway. A short, sharp scream, not the party scream. Not the oh my god scream that turns into laughter. This one is tight and scared, and it pulls my attention the same way a car horn pulls your attention when you are about to cross the street. I start walking toward it, annoyed more than worried, because I assume it is another drunk scene, another couple arguing, another friend about to do something stupid. I push past people leaning against the walls, past someone sitting on the floor laughing into his own hands, and I reach the hallway near the powder room. The crowd there is thinner. A few people are pressed up against the wall, phones out, not sure if they should record or run. I see that same tall stranger again, the one who looked sick earlier. He is on his knees in the doorway of the powder room, shoulders hunched, moving in quick little jerks. At first I think he is throwing up or passed out. Then I see a girl on the floor inside the bathroom, half turned onto her side, one arm twisted under her, dress bunched up, legs still. She is not moving at all. The stranger's head lifts for a second, and I see his mouth and his chin are smeared dark. He makes a low sound, not a word, more of a breathy grunt, and drops his face down again toward the girl's shoulder. My brain tries to protect me in that moment. It tries to slow everything down. It tries to tell me this is a prank. It tries to tell me I am drunk and seeing wrong. It tries to tell me it is some kind of weird party thing where people do fake blood and fake attacks for attention. Then I see the girl's skin. There is a torn patch near her upper arm where fabric is ripped away, and under it the skin looks mangled, missing in a rough bite-shaped way. There is blood on the tile. There is blood on the sink cabinet. There is blood on the stranger's hands, thick and wet. My mouth goes dry so fast it feels like my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. I hear someone behind me whisper, "That is fake, right?" And another voice says, "No, no, that is not fake." And then a girl starts crying. I step forward without thinking, and my first instinct is stupid. My first instinct is not run, it is fix it. I reach toward the stranger's shoulder, planning to yank him back, planning to shout at him, planning to break up what my brain still refuses to fully name. He snaps his head toward me fast, faster than a drunk person should move, and I catch his eyes. His eyes are open but not there, not focused in a normal way. His pupils look blown out. His face is tight like he is fighting through pain or rage. His lips pull back and I see his teeth. I jerk my hand back in time, and he lunges forward anyway, not at me, at the girl on the floor, as if he cannot stand being interrupted. His hands dig into her dress and he drags her a few inches on the tile. The sound of her body sliding makes my stomach flip. Marco appears at my side, breath hot, eyes wide. He does not hesitate. He grabs the stranger by the back of the shirt and yanks hard. The stranger twists, snarling, and his teeth snap at Marco's forearm. Marco flinches back just enough to avoid a full hit. I see a red line open on his skin. It is shallow, but it is there. Marco curses and shoves the stranger away. The stranger staggers back against the bathroom doorframe, then rebounds forward as if he weighs nothing. It is wrong. That is the only word in my head. Wrong. I look around for something to hit with, not to be a hero, just to stop it. My eyes land on the hallway table with a heavy decorative bowl my mum insists on keeping there. I grab it with both hands and swing it at the stranger's shoulder. The bowl smashes against him with a dull crack and explodes into pieces on the tile. The stranger stumbles, loses balance, hits the wall. The crowd screams and surges backward, and someone yells, "Call 911, like that solves everything. I pull my phone out with shaking fingers and dial. It rings. 1 ring. 2. I can hear my own breathing, loud in my ears, and I realize the music in the house has dropped to a lower volume because someone hit the speaker control, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose. The whole place is listening now. A dispatcher answers, and I talk too fast. I do not even know what words to use. I tell her someone attacked a girl. I tell her there is blood. I tell her we need an ambulance. We need police. We need help now. My voice sounds thin and high to me, and I hate it, but I cannot stop. The dispatcher tells me to stay on the line, that units are busy, that I need to keep calm, and I almost laugh because calm is impossible. I look down at the girl on the tile. She is still not moving. Her face is turned away, and her hair is splayed out in a dark fan against the floor. One shoe is missing. The bathroom light is too bright and makes the scene look brutally real. The stranger lurches again, and Marco and another guy shove him back into the powder room. The door swings partly closed. Someone slams it shut, but it does not latch because the frame is angled wrong. The stranger hits it from the inside, hard, and the door bounces. I shout for people to back up to clear the hall, but nobody moves cleanly. People move in messy waves. Some run, some freeze, some film. Someone keeps insisting it is a prank, that it has to be a prank. And I want to punch him, because that sentence is poison right now. The dispatcher's voice crackles in my ear, then the call drops. Not a clean drop. It crackles, stutters, and cuts out. I stare at my screen and see the signal bars flicker, then vanish. No service. I try again. Nothing. I try again. It just sits there. I switch to messaging and type, "Call me" to Marco. Even though he is right next to me, the message does not send. My brain scrambles for the next step, and the next step that pops up is my parents. I call my mum, straight to voicemail. I call again, same thing. I call my dad, straight to voicemail. I send a text that says, "Emergency, call me now." The text hangs with that little spinning icon and never delivers. I stand there with the phone in my hand, staring at nothing, and the anger hits me in a hot rush. Not at them, at the whole idea of them being far away, unreachable, while their house is turning into a nightmare. I picture them somewhere on a beach, phones off, wine in hand, and I hate that picture so much I want to throw my phone through the wall. Another slam hits the powder room door from the inside, and it shakes the frame. The stranger is still moving. The stranger is still trying to get out. Marco grabs my shoulder hard enough to hurt. His face is pale under the hallway light. "Get people out of here," he says, breath fast. "Get the doors open. Get people gone." That word, "out," triggers the crowd. Someone yells that the gate is locked. Someone yells that the gate is fine. Someone else shouts that there are cops on the road and nobody can leave. Another voice says the city is under emergency order. Nobody knows what is real. Everyone is repeating something they heard from someone else, and the rumors stack up until it feels like the walls are closing. I push through the crowd toward the entryway, because if people are going to leave, I need that front door clear. The house is still packed, and the way bodies move now is different. It is not dancing. It is not casual. It is survival movement, sharp and self-centered. People shove. People step on toes. People drop cups and do not care. Someone is crying loudly near the stairs, phone pressed to her ear, saying "please, please," to nobody. I reach the entryway, and the front door is half open. Cold air floods in. A few people are standing on the porch looking down the driveway, squinting. One guy points and says the gate lights are flashing. Another says he heard banging. Someone else says, "That is just drunk idiots outside." And that sentence sounds weak even as it leaves his mouth. Then I hear it clearly. Metal taking impact. Not just once. A steady rhythmic pounding from the front gate area, coming up faintly through the long driveway and trees. It is far, but it is real. The sound makes something in me tighten. The gate is not near the house, but the driveway is long and open, and the only thing between the street and us is that gate. My dad always made it sound absolute. It is not absolute. It is just metal. I look outside again and see headlights on the road beyond the gate, flashing as cars crawl or stop. I cannot see the main road fully from here, but I can see movement. Not normal movement. It looks chaotic. A car horn blares, stuck, then cuts off. Another horn starts. The night air carries faint shouting. The house behind me surges louder with panic. A wave of people rushes toward the door, then stalls because nobody wants to be first outside. It is the worst kind of crowd behavior. Everyone wants escape and nobody wants risk. I try to shout instructions. I try to tell people to use the side gate, to move in groups, to stop pushing. My voice disappears into the noise. Half the crowd does not know me well enough to listen. The other half is too scared to care. I spot Darius near the living room entrance, eyes wide, face slick with sweat. I push toward him and grab his shirt. "What did you see downtown?" I snap. "What is happening?" He stares at me, breathing fast. And for a second he looks genuinely terrified, not just drunk hype. "I do not know," he says, and his voice cracks. "There were people, attacking people, not fighting, not robbing. I saw a guy latch onto another guy and not let go. Cops were yelling. Someone was screaming on the sidewalk. I thought it was drugs." I want to keep yelling at him, but then another scream rips through the house from upstairs. That scream is followed by a crash, and then the sound of feet pounding on the stairs. A girl runs down the stairs, nearly falling, mascara streaking down her cheeks, and she shouts that the guy in the bathroom got out. She is not even sure what she is saying. She is just spilling panic into words. Behind her, two guys stumble down holding their arms out as if they are bracing for an attack. The crowd surges again. Somebody trips and goes down hard. I hear a head hit wood. Someone else screams not from fear but from pain. The party is now a stampede with nowhere to go. I hear sirens then, distant at first, then closer. The sound is sharp and clear in the cold air outside, and it gives people hope in the worst way. They start shouting, "Cops, cops," as if cops mean everything becomes normal again. A few minutes later, police vehicles roll up outside the gate. I cannot see them all, but I see the red and blue flash reflecting off the trees and the driveway. Someone at the door starts yelling for them to open the gate. I grab my phone again and open the gate control app. It loads slow, then fails. The screen hangs and then shows an error. No connection. My dad's system needs internet to work cleanly. Of course it does. Of course the one night I need it, it cannot connect. I sprint to the security closet under the stairs where my dad keeps a manual control box and spare keys. I have seen it 100 times but never touched it. The closet door is locked because my dad locks everything. I dig through my keyring until I find the little silver key he gave me for emergencies. My hands shake so bad I miss the keyhole twice before I get it. Inside the closet, it smells like dust and electronics. There is a binder with printed instructions. There are spare batteries. There is a metal box labeled Gate Override. I flip the cover open and see switches and a manual lever. It looks simple and complicated at the same time. Marco is suddenly beside me, breathing hard. He looks over my shoulder, eyes darting. "Hurry," he says, and his voice is tight. "People are losing it." I grip the lever and pull. Nothing happens. I pull again harder. The lever gives slightly, then stops. I realize it has a safety latch. I fumble with it, curse, force it, and finally it drops into place with a heavy clunk. Outside, the gate motor whines faintly, then the sound dies. The gate does not open. The motor tries again, a grinding whir, then stops. Something is jammed, or the power is weak, or the mechanism is locked by a failsafe. My dad built a fortress that can lock itself even from the inside. I slam my hand against the metal box. "Come on," I whisper, not to anyone, just to the machine. Marco grabs my shoulder. "Forget the gate. Get everyone back. We lock the house. We wait for the cops." I want to argue, but then a loud voice booms from outside, amplified. A police officer is using a loudspeaker at the gate. The words carry up the driveway, faint but clear enough to catch pieces. "This is the police," the officer says. "Everyone inside the residence, remain calm. The area is under a declared state of emergency. This gathering must end immediately. Do not leave the property. Do not approach the gate." The sentence lands on the crowd like gasoline. People start yelling back at the door. Someone shouts that a girl is dead. Someone shouts that people are attacking people inside. Someone shouts that this is kidnapping, that they cannot keep us here. The loudspeaker crackles again. "We need everyone to stop moving. We need you to remain inside. Officers will approach the residence." I push back toward the entryway, trying to see, trying to think. If the cops are here, maybe we can hand off the problem. Maybe they can take control. That is the fantasy my brain reaches for because it is easier than accepting what is happening. But the cops do not come up the driveway, not immediately. They stay at the gate, flashing lights bouncing off the trees. I realize why a second later when I see movement near the road beyond the gate, shapes darting in and out of the headlights. The cops are dealing with something out there first. Inside the house, the screaming spikes again. A cluster of people stumbles into the entryway from the hallway, backing up fast, eyes locked on something behind them. I push through bodies and look. The tall stranger is in the hallway now, moving with a jerky, purposeful gait. His shirt is torn. His hands are slick dark. His head tilts to one side, then snaps back, and he makes that same low sound. Behind him, a second person appears. A girl I recognize from earlier, the one who had been laughing on the patio, is now stumbling forward with her arms held out stiffly. Her face is pale. Her eyes are wide but unfocused. There is blood on her neck. People freeze. Not because they are brave, because the brain cannot accept this kind of movement from a person it knows. The brain stutters. The brain tries to label it as drunk, as a joke, as drugs. Someone yells, "Stop, stop, what is wrong with you?" and steps toward the girl, reaching out to grab her shoulders. The girl lunges, not fast like an athlete, fast like an animal that only knows one action. Her mouth opens and she bites down on his forearm. The guy screams and tries to pull away. She does not let go. She clamps and shakes her head, and the sound that comes out of the guy is raw and high and real. The crowd explodes. People surge backward, slamming into each other, crashing into walls. Someone knocks over the hallway table. Glass shatters. Someone falls and gets stepped on. The tall stranger moves in, grabbing at another person, and suddenly there are two attacks at once. I feel my body go cold and hot at the same time. My arms move without permission. I grab a heavy lamp from the side table and swing it at the girl biting the guy. The lamp hits her shoulder. She barely reacts. I swing again, harder, and she finally staggers, letting go for a second. The guy rips his arm free and stumbles away, blood pouring down to his wrist. Marco grabs me by the back of the shirt and yanks me away from the hallway. "Do not get close," he barks, and he is not yelling for drama. He is yelling because he sees the truth. Teeth are the weapon. Proximity is death. I stumble backward into the living room with a wave of people. Someone slams the living room pocket door halfway closed. Another person tries to close it fully, but it catches on the rug. Hands shove it. It scrapes forward. I look around, trying to count, trying to find familiar faces. Ashley is gone. Darius is somewhere screaming. The bartender is nowhere in sight. My house feels unfamiliar now, not because the layout changed, but because the purpose changed. It is not a party space anymore. It is a trap with multiple rooms. A loud crack splits the air outside. For half a second, my brain does not register it. Then I realize what it is. A gunshot, close enough to echo off the trees and hit the windows. People scream again. A different scream. The kind that comes from hearing a firearm where there should not be one. Someone yells that the cops are shooting. Someone else yells that someone inside has a gun. Nobody knows, and that uncertainty hits harder than the shot itself. I push toward the front window and peek through the curtains. The driveway is lit by the flashing police lights at the gate, but it is still mostly dark. I see a figure near the gate drop to the ground. I cannot tell if it is a person or one of the things moving wrong. The cops are shouting. The sound carries in short bursts that I cannot fully understand. Inside, another attack happens in the hallway, and the living room door rattles as someone slams into it from the outside. I back away from the window because I suddenly do not want to be seen. I do not want to be in front of glass. My dad always talked about hardening the house. Bullet-resistant film, reinforced locks. It was all theory until now. Now it is just me standing in a living room full of panicked drunk people, realizing I do not know how strong the doors really are. Marco pulls me by the elbow toward the kitchen entrance. "We need fewer people in one space," he says, voice low and urgent. "This is going to turn into a crush. We need a plan. We need to separate, lock rooms, get weapons. Anything that keeps teeth away." The word weapons makes a few heads turn. People hear it and latch onto it because it feels like control. Somebody shouts that there are knives in the kitchen. Somebody else shouts that my dad has guns. That second shout lands like a bomb because now everyone looks at me. I do not like that look. I do not like being the only person with answers. I do not have answers, but I cannot say that out loud. If I say that, this turns into pure chaos, and chaos gets people bitten. "My dad has a safe," I say, and my voice sounds steadier than I feel, "but I do not have access." That is technically true. My dad has a safe in his office. I have seen it. I know where it is. I do not know the code. He never gave it to me. He never thought I would need it. He never thought this would happen. Someone grabs my shirt collar. It is a guy I barely know, eyes wide, face flushed. "Open it," he says. "Now." I shove him back hard. "I do not have the code," I snap. "Touch me again, and I will throw you outside." He stares at me, then looks away, but the anger stays in his face. I can feel the room shifting. The danger is not only the infected, the danger is the crowd, the fear, the entitlement, the way people look for someone to blame. Another slam hits the living room door. The hinges creak. Someone screams that it is breaking. Marco points toward the kitchen. "Pantry," he says. "We can barricade it. Food, water, small door. We can hold there until the cops get inside." I know the pantry. It is big, walk-in, with a solid door. It is not a bunker, but it is something. The problem is getting there, because the kitchen is open, and the hallway with the stairs is a choke point, and the infected are somewhere between us and it. I take a breath and force myself to move. I motion for Marco and a few people who still look coherent. Not everyone. I pick the ones with clear eyes, the ones not swaying, the ones not filming. We push toward the kitchen in a tight group. The kitchen is chaos. Food trays are overturned. Someone slipped and smeared sauce across the tile. The smell of fried food is now mixed with something metallic and sour. A girl is crouched behind the island crying, hands over her head. Near the back door, the bartender is there, and his face is grey with shock. He is holding a bottle in one hand, as if he does not know why. He looks at me and blinks hard, and I can see he is trying to stay professional, even though professionalism has no place here. "Do you have a car?" I ask him, and I hate that my voice sounds normal. He nods once. "Yeah," he says, barely audible. "Stay close," I tell him. "We are going to the pantry. Do not get separated." As we move, I hear a wet shuffle from the hallway, and the tall stranger appears again at the edge of the kitchen doorway. His head snaps toward us. His hands lift. He starts moving in that jerky line, not fast, but direct. Marco grabs a heavy cutting board off the counter and swings it like a bat. The board hits the stranger's shoulder. The stranger stumbles and hits the doorframe, then rebounds, still reaching. Marco hits him again, this time in the side of the head. The stranger's head jerks, and for a second he seems to pause, then he keeps coming. That is the moment something in me breaks. Not in a dramatic way, in a clean, cold way, because I realize pain is not stopping him. Fear is not stopping him. Yelling is not stopping him. This is not a drunk guy. This is not a fight. I grab a metal bar stool and shove it forward into the doorway, pinning the stranger back for a second. Marco and another guy shove a second stool on top. We are not trying to win. We are trying to buy time. Pantry, Marco says again, and we sprint. The pantry door is on the far side of the kitchen. I yank it open and shove people in. The space is stocked with shelves of dry goods, bottled water, snacks, fancy cereal, and enough random supplies to last longer than any of us deserve. The smell inside is clean and dry, and it almost makes me dizzy because it feels normal. As the last person stumbles in, I slam the door. Marco helps me push a heavy shelf unit toward it. We wedge it tight. We hear pounding on the other side almost immediately, fists and body weight hitting the door. Inside the pantry, people are breathing hard, crying, whispering. The bartender crouches in the corner, hands on his head, staring at nothing. A girl is shaking so hard her teeth chatter. Somebody keeps repeating, "No, no, no," under his breath. I press my ear to the door and listen. The pounding continues, irregular, desperate. Then it stops. Silence hits, and silence is worse, because silence means movement. Marco stands next to me, rubbing the shallow bite scrape on his arm. He is not bleeding much, but the skin is broken. I look at it and my stomach flips again. If biting does this, what does a scratch do? What does blood contact do? I do not know. Nobody in this pantry knows. Someone asks what is happening outside. Someone asks if the cops are coming in. Someone asks if the girl in the bathroom is alive. Each question feels like a weight dropped onto my shoulders because I am the homeowner, the birthday boy, the idiot who opened the gate. I pull my phone out again, more out of habit than hope. Still no service. I move deeper into the pantry where there is a small window high up near the ceiling that faces the side yard. I climb onto a shelf and peer out. The side yard is dark, lit only by a faint spill of light from the patio. Beyond the fence I can see tree silhouettes. Farther out toward the street, the police lights flicker through branches. The gate area is still flashing red and blue. I hear another gunshot, then two more, closer together. People inside the pantry flinch at each sound. The worst part is realizing this is bigger than my house. The cops are not here just for us. The cops are fighting something at the gate. That means the road is not safe. That means the city is not safe. That means the thing that bit that girl did not appear out of nowhere. It came from outside, from a world that is already breaking. Someone bangs on the pantry door from the inside and screams for me to stop looking out the window and do something. I climb down, heart pounding, and I want to scream back that I am doing something. I am keeping us alive by not opening the door, but I swallow it because yelling wastes oxygen and makes people spiral. Marco crouches near the floor and whispers, "We need to check everyone. Bites, blood, anyone hurt." A few people protest immediately, offended, as if checking for wounds is rude. That reaction is so absurd I almost laugh, but it also makes me angry. This is still rich people brain, party brain, the belief that privacy matters more than survival. "Do it," I say. My voice is flat. "If someone is bitten, everyone needs to know." That starts another wave of panic. A couple people lift sleeves, show scratches. One guy has a split lip. A girl has a cut on her knee from falling. Nothing obvious. Nothing that explains why the bathroom girl is dead on the floor. Then the guy with the bleeding forearm pushes forward, pale and shaking. His wound is deep enough that blood soaked through his sleeve. He holds it up and says, "She bit me. The girl bit me." The pantry goes silent, then erupts. People shout at him to get away. Someone screams to open the door and throw him out. Someone else says, "That is murder." Another person says he is already dead. The fear in that cramped pantry turns sharp and ugly. and I see the human threat waking up. I step in front of the guy without touching him. "Sit," I tell him, "in the corner. Do not touch anyone. Keep pressure on it." He stares at me like I am insane. "You want me to just sit here?" "Yes," I say, "because if we start throwing people out, we are not a group anymore. We are a mob, and mobs get everyone killed." Marco gives me a quick look, almost surprised. I think he expected me to fold. I did not expect that sentence to come out of my mouth either, but it did, and now I have to commit to it. The wounded guy sits in the far corner, breathing hard. A girl hands him a towel with shaking hands, and then immediately wipes her own hands on her dress as if his blood is poison. Maybe it is. Outside the pantry door, I hear movement again. A scrape, a bump, something dragging. Then the pounding returns, harder, and the shelf we shoved against the door shudders. Somebody inside the pantry screams and starts pushing backward, climbing shelves, trying to get away from the door even though there is nowhere to go. I grab his shoulders and force him down. "Stop," I snap. "Stop moving." The pounding gets louder, then suddenly stops again. Silence. Then a heavy crash somewhere in the kitchen, as if a body slammed into cabinets. Another crash, glass breaking, a drawer yanked open. It is the sound of someone tearing through a room with no thought, no caution. A new sound follows, a human scream, close. Somebody is still out there in the kitchen, somebody living. Marco and I lock eyes. We both understand the same thing without saying it. If a living person is out there, that person is about to become another attacker if bitten. And if we do nothing, the kitchen becomes full of infected, and then the pantry door will not hold. "Back door," Marco whispers. "We might have to move. Basement maybe, or garage. Somewhere with fewer windows." Basement. The word hits me. My parents' basement is finished. More of an entertainment area with a small storage room, but it has a solid door at the top of the stairs. It could be defensible. The garage also has tools. The garage has the manual gate release. The garage might be our best shot. The problem is getting there. I force myself to think in steps, not in panic. First step, listen for a gap in the noise. Second step, open the pantry door only if we have a clear path. Third step, move as a tight group. Fourth step, do not let anyone run off alone. I press my ear to the door again. I hear shuffling, breathing, a scraping sound. Then I hear something else. The back door handle rattling. Someone is trying it from outside. Not the infected. Someone with intention. Someone trying to get into the house. My blood runs cold. "Someone is at the back door," I whisper. A girl gasps and covers her mouth. Another guy starts shaking his head, saying no, 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 as if denial can block a door. The handle rattles harder. A pounding follows. Not the random pounding of an infected, but purposeful. Someone is trying to break in while we are trapped inside. That is the moment I realize this is not only the sick. This is humans too. Humans seeing flashing police lights, hearing chaos, looking for a safe place or looking for loot. Humans doing what humans do when rules disappear. Another gunshot cracks outside, closer now, and then I hear a voice from the gate loudspeaker again, more urgent. "Back away from the fence," the officer shouts. "Back away now." Then more shots, rapid, and screaming from the street. The sound is muffled by distance and trees, but it is enough. It tells me the situation at the gate is collapsing. The pantry crowd starts to unravel again. People want to run. People want to cry. People want me to magically open a door to safety. I look at Marco and make a decision that feels insane but also inevitable. "We move," I say. "Basement first, then garage." Marco nods once. "On your count," he says. I take a breath, grip the shelf bracing the door, and shift it just enough that the door could open a crack. I do not fling it open. I open it carefully, inch by inch, because if something is right there, it will rush the gap. The kitchen is a disaster. Cabinets are hanging open, food trays are spilled, a chair is overturned. There is blood smeared on the tile in streaks. The tall stranger is not visible. The girl who bit the guy is not visible. The sounds are coming from farther down the hall. But in the kitchen, near the island, a girl is lying on the floor with her phone in her hand, face up, eyes open. She is not moving. She has a deep bite at her neck and blood pooled around her collarbone. My body wants to freeze. My brain wants to scream. Instead, I swallow hard and force my eyes away from her, because if I lock onto her, I will not move. Now, I whisper. We pour out of the pantry in a tight group. Marco leads with the cutting board held like a shield. I stay near the middle, pushing people forward, keeping them from splitting. The bartender moves beside me, shaking but trying. The wounded guy in the corner starts to follow, and a couple people shout for him to stay back. He comes or none of us move. I snap, and that ends the argument for the moment. We move past the kitchen island, stepping around broken glass, stepping around spilled food, stepping around the dead girl without touching her. I catch a glimpse of her face as we pass. She looks surprised more than anything, as if the last thing she expected was to die in a powder room at a party. In the hallway, the air is louder. I hear banging from the living room door where we had tried to close it. I hear feet upstairs, frantic. I hear a scream cut off mid-word. We reach the basement stairs, and I almost feel relief because it is a narrow choke point, and we can control it. Marco yanks open the door at the top of the stairs, and we rush down, nearly tripping over each other. The basement lights are on, but flickering slightly, and the room looks wrong because it is too normal. There is a big couch, a gaming console, a framed family photo on a shelf. It feels insane that those things exist in the same world as the bite marks and the screaming upstairs. We slam the basement door shut and shove the couch against it. People collapse onto the floor, breathing hard. Someone starts vomiting into a trash bin. Someone else sits in a corner rocking, whispering prayers. I try my phone again. Still nothing. I try the landline in my dad's office upstairs in my mind, and I almost laugh because how am I supposed to get there now? Marco crouches near the wounded guy and watches him closely. The guy's face is pale and sweaty. He keeps swallowing hard. He says he feels hot. He says his stomach hurts. He says it might just be panic. I do not know what to believe. Above us, the house bangs and groans with movement. The sound is not a clean stampede anymore. It is chaotic pockets of violence. A crash, then silence, then a scream, then footsteps, then another crash. The infected are moving through rooms. People are running and hiding and getting caught. I am standing in my parents' basement, listening to strangers die upstairs, and the guilt hits me so hard it feels physical. I opened the gate. I let them in. I wanted a bigger party. I wanted respect. I wanted noise. Now I get noise. Someone pounds on the basement door from the outside. Hard. 3 hits in a row. Then a pause. Then another hit. The door rattles. The couch shifts. Everyone in the basement freezes. Eyes wide. Hands covering mouths. The pounding continues, and I can tell it is not a person pleading. It is body weight. It is impact without thought. Marco raises the cutting board again, useless but comforting. I grab a metal fireplace poker from the corner and hold it with both hands. The pounding stops. We wait, holding our breath, listening. A voice comes through the door, muffled. "Help," the voice says, shaky and thin. "Open up, please." It sounds human. It sounds like a girl. It sounds like someone I might know. Someone in the group starts sobbing. Another person reaches for the couch to pull it back. "Stop," Marco snaps, and his voice cuts through the basement. "Nobody opens that door." The voice above repeats, "Please, he is right behind me." I step toward the door because every instinct I have says help her. Then I remember the girl in the hallway biting. I remember the tall stranger's eyes. I remember how fast the switch happened. I remember the ripped skin and the blood. I remember the dead girl in the kitchen with her phone in her hand. I press my forehead against the door and feel the cold through it. "Who are you?" I call, voice shaking. "Say your name." There is a pause. Then the voice says a name I do not recognize. A name that could be real or could be random. It says it too fast. I swallow. Where are you right now? I ask. Another pause, longer. Basement, she says. And that is wrong, because she would not call it basement if she was upstairs and panicking. She would call it downstairs or the door or something else. My brain catches the mismatch and it chills me. Then the voice changes. It goes lower, rougher. A wet sound threads through it, like saliva and breath. A thud hits the door again, harder than before, and the couch shifts. The thing outside is not asking anymore. It is hitting. We back up as one, pressed into the basement room, and I realize we have a second door here, the storage room. I motion toward it. Storage, I whisper. If this door goes, we go there. People scramble toward the storage room, tripping over each other. The wounded guy stumbles and almost falls. Marco grabs him and yanks him along. We pack into the storage room and pull the door shut behind us. It is darker, tighter, and it smells like paint, cardboard, old tools. I can barely breathe because there are too many bodies in too little space. But it is another layer, another barrier, another chance. Outside the storage door, the pounding continues, now muffled by distance, and I hear wood cracking. Not the storage door yet, the basement door, the main barrier. Someone whispers that we are going to die. Someone else whispers that the cops will come. Another person whispers that the cops are probably dead too. I squeeze my eyes shut and force myself to think about the garage. The garage is attached to the house but separated by a solid door. The garage has tools. The garage has the manual gate release. The garage has cars. If we can get to the garage, we can possibly get out, possibly drive, possibly reach somewhere safer than this house full of attackers. But to reach the garage, we have to go upstairs again, through the kitchen, through the hallway, past whatever is roaming. A crack sounds from the basement door area, loud enough to make us flinch. Another crack, then a heavy crash, and the pounding stops, replaced by shuffling movement and a wet, breathy sound. Marco leans close to my ear in the darkness. "We cannot stay," he whispers. "This is going to get worse. We move when it goes quiet." I nod because nodding feels easier than speaking. My throat is tight. My stomach feels hollow. I can taste alcohol in my mouth from earlier, and I hate it. I hate that I drank while this was creeping closer. We wait. Minutes stretch. The house above us continues to make noise, but the basement pounding is gone now. That could mean the infected lost interest. That could mean it moved upstairs. That could mean it is standing right outside our storage door listening. In the dark, the wounded guy starts whispering that he feels cold. Then he says he feels hot again. He says his arm is burning. He says his heart is racing. He asks for water. Someone hands him a bottle with shaking hands. He drinks too fast and coughs. The cough sounds wrong, wet, thick. The sound makes my skin crawl because my brain starts connecting dots it does not want to connect. Marco holds up his phone. The screen is dead. No service. No internet. He curses under his breath. Finally, we hear a lull. Not silence, but a gap in immediate danger. Marco grips the storage door handle and looks at me. His eyes are hard now, focused, not scared exactly, controlled. I count in my head. 3, 2, 1. We open the storage door and step back into the basement. The couch is shoved slightly away from the basement door now, as if something hit it from the other side and moved it. The basement door itself has cracks along the frame. The handle looks bent. There is a smear of blood on the wood. I feel nausea rise in my throat, but I swallow it down. I cannot afford to puke, not now. We move as quietly as we can toward the basement stairs. People step carefully, holding onto each other. Someone's shoe squeaks and everyone freezes. Nothing happens. We keep moving. At the top of the stairs, we pause. Marco cracks the door open a few inches and peers out. The hallway outside is dim. The lights are on but weaker now, flickering. The air smells worse. The house is quieter than it was, but not calm. It is the quiet of a building after violence. Marco opens the door a little more, and we slip out one by one. We keep tight. We keep close to the wall. We move toward the garage door near the mudroom. We pass the living room and I glimpse inside. Furniture overturned. A smear of blood across the rug. A phone on the floor still recording, screen glowing. No bodies moving. That absence is terrifying because it means the bodies either left or became something else. In the kitchen, the dead girl is still on the floor. Her eyes are still open. Nobody closed them. Nobody even had time to try. We step around her again, careful not to slip, and the smell hits me harder now, metallic and sharp and nauseating. Then we hear a sound from upstairs. A low moan, a shuffle, then a thud against the stair rail. Someone in our group makes a small whimper, and I want to snap at him, but I stop myself because fear is contagious. I cannot afford to spread it more. We reach the mudroom door that leads into the garage. It is locked with a keypad. My hands shake as I punch the code. I get it wrong once. I curse quietly, punch it again, and it beeps green. The lock clicks. We slip into the garage and pull the door shut behind us as quietly as possible. The garage is dark except for a motion sensor light that flickers on overhead. 2 cars sit inside. My dad's luxury sedan and my mum's sport utility vehicle. Along the walls are tools, shelves, a workbench, a mounted fire extinguisher. It feels suddenly useful, practical, a place that can solve problems. I move to the manual gate release system my dad installed. There is a control panel near the garage door with a backup battery. The little indicator lights are blinking red. Low power. The system is still alive. Barely. I hit the button to open the gate. Nothing. I hit it again. The panel clicks, but the gate motor does not respond. I swear under my breath and look at the battery readout. The backup battery is almost empty. Marco leans over my shoulder. "Can we open it manually?" he asks. I think about the gate itself. Heavy metal, long sliding track. My dad always said it could be opened manually, but it takes time and effort. And you have to be at the gate, outside, exposed. Before I can answer, a crash sounds from the house side of the mudroom door. Something hit it. Hard. The group flinches. People back away. The wounded guy staggers, face slick with sweat. His eyes look glassy now. His jaw works as if he is chewing nothing. Marco sees it too. He steps in front of the wounded guy, holding his hands up in a calming gesture, but keeping distance. "Sit," Marco whispers. "Just sit down. Do not move." The wounded guy stares at Marco as if he does not recognize him anymore. Then the guy's lips pull back and he makes that same low sound I heard from the stranger. My stomach drops. The wounded guy lunges at Marco. Marco jerks back, but not fast enough to avoid contact. The wounded guy grabs at Marco's sleeve, teeth snapping. Marco swings the cutting board into the guy's face and the guy reels, then comes again, relentless. Panic detonates in the garage. People scream and scatter between the cars, slipping on the concrete, banging into shelves. Someone knocks over a toolbox and tools clatter across the floor. The sound fills the garage, loud, echoing, and I know it is going to draw attention. I grab a tire iron off the wall without thinking. My hands grip it hard enough that my fingers ache. The wounded guy snaps at Marco again, and Marco blocks with the cutting board, barely keeping distance. I step in and swing the tire iron at the wounded guy's shoulder. The impact is heavy. The wounded guy stumbles, but he does not cry out. He does not react in a normal way. He just pivots and comes at me instead, mouth open, eyes empty. I backpedal fast, nearly tripping over a jack handle, and I slam my back against my mom's sport utility vehicle. The wounded guy lunges again, and I shove the tire iron straight into his chest as a barrier, trying to keep teeth away. He bites at the metal, jaw snapping. Marco swings the cutting board again, and hits the wounded guy's head hard enough to make him stagger. I swing the tire iron down, not thinking about anything except stopping the motion. The tire iron lands, and the wounded guy drops to his knees. He starts trying to stand again immediately. That is when I realize what this is going to require, and I hate the realization so much my vision blurs. because nothing about this is a fight you win with pain. This is something you stop only by destroying the ability to move. The mudroom door rattles again, harder now, and I hear a second thud, then a third, as if more than one body is hitting it from the house side. The garage is turning into its own trap. Marco grabs my arm and yanks me backward toward my mum's sport utility vehicle. "Keys," he says. "Get keys. We drive through the garage door if we have to." I fumble in my pocket for the key fob because my mum always leaves it on the hook in the mudroom. But the mudroom is now on the other side of a door being attacked. I cannot get to it. My dad's sedan keys are in the garage drawer. I sprint to the workbench, yank open drawers until I find a spare set, grab them with shaking hands. Behind me, Marco hits the wounded guy again, knocking him sideways. The wounded guy crawls, then rises again. He keeps coming. He is not even looking at the people screaming. He is locked onto the nearest warm body. I jump into my dad's sedan, slam the door, hit the start button. The engine coughs, then roars to life. That sound fills the garage and makes everything worse, but it also gives me a tool that feels real. "Get in," I shout, and my voice finally breaks into something raw. "Get in, now." People sprint toward the car, but not everyone fits. The bartender tries to open the back door and fumbles. A girl screams that she cannot leave her friend. Someone else tries to drag a sobbing guy up off the floor. Marco shoves the cutting board into the wounded guy's face one last time, and then sprints for the passenger side, yanking the door open and diving in. I throw the car into reverse and back up hard, aiming to slam into the garage door mechanism because I do not have time for gentle. The sedan hits the garage door with a loud crunch, not enough to break through. The door buckles slightly, but it holds. I hit it again, harder, and the garage door groans and flexes. The track bends. The lower panel cracks. The third hit finally forces it up enough that cold air rushes in through a jagged gap. At the same time, the mudroom door behind us bursts inward. The tall stranger from the house stumbles into the garage, arms out, head jerking. Behind him, another infected pushes through, then another. They spill in, drawn by sound, drawn by bodies, drawn by motion. The people still standing in the garage scream and scatter. Some run toward the driveway gap. Some freeze. The bartender gets grabbed by the sleeve by one of the infected, and he yanks away, barely escaping the bite. A girl trips and goes down near the tool shelf. I slam the accelerator, and the sedan surges forward through the broken garage door gap, scraping metal, showering sparks. The car squeezes out, the roof scraping, the side mirror snapping off with a pop. We burst onto the driveway, tires squealing on gravel, and for half a second I feel relief, pure and stupid, because we are outside. We are moving. We are leaving the house behind. Then I look ahead and see the gate. The gate is still closed. Police lights flash beyond it. Shapes move in front of those lights, stumbling, swarming. I see an officer backing up, weapon raised. I see a figure slam into the gate from the outside. I see another. The metal rattles under repeated impact. Marco curses beside me, breath sharp. "Do not go to the gate," he says, and his voice is pure survival now. "Turn, turn." There is no easy turn. The driveway is long and narrow with trees and landscaping stones. I crank the wheel anyway, tires skidding, and I aim the car toward the side yard cut-through, the service path that runs around the house to the back fence line. My dad uses it for maintenance trucks. It is not meant for high-speed escape. The sedan bounces hard over uneven ground. Branches scrape the sides. The headlights sweep across trees and fence posts. My hands are locked on the wheel so tight they cramp. Behind us, the garage is chaos. I can hear faint screaming from inside the property, swallowed by distance. And it hits me that I just left people there. I just left them. I do not have time to process that. If I process it, I will freeze. I keep driving. We hit the back fence line and I see the service gate, the smaller one that opens onto the maintenance road that runs behind several properties. It is locked with a chain and padlock, because of course it is. I slam the brakes. Gravel sprays. Marco jumps out before the car fully stops and runs to the gate. He yanks the chain, cursing, then looks around for something to cut it. I pop the trunk release and scramble out, sprinting to the back of the sedan. The trunk pops. I throw it open and find a toolbox my dad keeps for emergencies. I dig through it and find bolt cutters. Thank God, actual bolt cutters. I hand them to Marco. He positions them on the chain, jaw tight, and squeezes. The metal resists, then snaps with a loud crack that echoes in the night. The sound feels like a beacon. Marco pulls the chain away and shoves the gate open. It creaks, then swings wide enough for the sedan. We get back in fast. I drive through, tires bumping over the threshold. The maintenance road is rough and narrow, lined with trees, no streetlights. It feels like leaving civilization and slipping into a back channel of the world. As we drive, my phone suddenly flickers with 1 bar of service, then drops again. I try calling again anyway, just out of desperation. It rings once, then drops. The screen shows call failed. It feels personal. Marco looks back over his shoulder through the rear window. The glow of police lights fades behind trees. He swallows hard. That was not a riot, he says quietly, and it is the calmest thing he has said all night. That was not drugs. I nod because words are stuck in my throat. My brain keeps replaying the girl on the bathroom floor, the dead girl in the kitchen, the wounded guy turning in the garage, the way pain did nothing. We drive blind on a road I barely knew existed, heading toward who knows what, with no plan beyond distance, and the only thought that keeps repeating in my head is simple and brutal. The party was supposed to make everyone respect my family. Now the only thing that matters is whether we can stay alive long enough to see morning. And that's where we'll stop for now. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me how the story hit you, what moments worked, what didn't, and what you'd want to hear next. And a big thank you to everyone supporting the channel. You keep this project alive. Until next time, Survivor. Jack's Nightmares, signing off.